If you're watching this video, there's a good chance you're trying to figure out who I am. Maybe you're thinking about hiring me, maybe you're considering partnering with me, or maybe looking at High Ticket Launcher, one of my companies, or maybe someone simply sent you this video and said, watch this first. Whatever brought you here, welcome. My name is Casey Kelly, and I've spent years building offers, leading sales organizations, and closing high-ticket opportunities to the tunes of $50 million in sales at the recording of this video. I've studied decision psychology and helped businesses grow through stronger sales systems. But this channel isn't here to teach you scripts. I'm here to teach you how I think, because sales has never been about memorizing words. It's about understanding people. And once you understand people, everything else begins to become clear. There are thousands of videos online that promise the perfect script, the perfect closing technique, the perfect objection handling. But I've never believed that separates great salespeople. Two people can say the exact same sentence. One earns trust, the other creates resistance. The same words, completely different outcome. So the difference obviously isn't just words, it's the person behind them. What is their intention? What's their curiosity? The ability to genuinely understand another human being that you're communicating with. That's what this is all about. Now, when I first got into sales, I honestly thought success belonged to the person who knew the most. So I studied products, I memorized features, I wanted to know every answer. I figured I could out-knowledge everybody around me because I have a pretty good memory, and I'd naturally become great. But something kept happening. I'd walk away from conversations thinking that went really well, they should buy, but then they wouldn't buy. And at first I blamed the price, I blamed the offer, I blamed the timing, I blamed even the economy. But eventually I had to face something uncomfortable. I wasn't losing because I lacked information. I was losing because I hadn't earned enough trust. That realization changed the trajectory of my career. From that point forward, I became less obsessed with having better answers and more obsessed with asking better questions. Now, I don't think lessons like that only apply to sales. I think this applies to leadership, business, and relationships too. Now, here's something I've noticed after years of sitting across from founders, high-level guys, entrepreneurs, executives, and investors. The people making the biggest decisions usually are not looking for something who sounds impressive. They are looking for someone who understands what they're trying to accomplish. Listen, confidence matters, competence matters, but understanding builds trust, and trust is usually what moves the needle and gets people to move forward. Now, I think one of the biggest misconceptions about this profession is believing that sales begins when you present an offer. I don't think it does. I think sales begins the moment another person starts asking themselves, can I trust you? Do you understand my situation? Do you believe that you can do what you say you're going to do? Long before they're evaluating the product, they're evaluating you. And that's why I've spent so much career studying psychology, not because I wanted to become persuasive. I wanted to become more understanding, because if you understand how people make decisions, you can communicate differently, you'll listen differently, you'll lead differently. And interestingly enough, you usually sell better too. Now, over the years, I've worked with different industries, different offers, different markets, and different kinds of buyers. And one pattern keeps showing up. The companies struggling most assume that they have a lead problem, or a pricing problem, or a marketing problem, or a positioning problem. And sometimes those things are true, but more often than not, they just have a clarity problem. I've sat across from founders convinced they needed to rebuild, literally this week, their entire offer. And what they really needed to do was just get a better conversation with people. And when people clearly understand the problem you're solving, the value you create, and why it matters, sales gets a whole lot simpler. Now listen, sales has given me a lot in life, great opportunities that I am deeply grateful for. But what keeps me interested after all these years, almost 15 years in the trenches, isn't the transaction, it's the responsibility, right? Because every sale represents somebody's trust that I earned. Someone is putting confidence in another person. I've come to believe that's something we should always, care about and never take lightly. I don't want to become known as someone who can close anyone. I want to become known as someone who helps the right people make good decisions. That's a very different goal. And ironically, it's that produces better business, better relationships, and better long-term results. Now, one thing I've experienced that taught me this is the longer I've been in sales, the less interested I've become in convincing people. Today, I'm far more interested in creating clarity, like I said, because clarity will build confidence, and confidence builds trust, and trust is what creates lasting partnerships. I'd rather lose an opportunity because it wasn't the right fit than win one by creating expectations that cannot be fulfilled. The principle has shaped how I sell, how I lead, and how I build relationships. Now, if you continue watching this, we're going to talk about why people buy, right? How elite sales organizations are built, why trust consistently outperforms pressure, how leaders create environments where great salespeople thrive, and the psychology behind decisions that shape the business. Now, this will not be scripts. It's not going to be hacks. These will be conversations about the principles that have kind of made me into who I am and helped me think the way I think and generate tens of millions in income. Now, whether you're building a sales team, growing a business, considering a partnership, or simply trying to become a better communicator, I hope this gives you a clear picture of how I think. I'll see you in the next conversation, because the first lesson I want to share is the one that changed everything for me. Great salespeople don't actually sell products. They sell something deeper, much deeper. We'll talk about that on the next video.